Good evening. My name is Debbie DeLeon. I am a realtor in Charleston, South Carolina. I have a 14, almost 15-year-old son with autism, and I started this virtual event series this year to help other families like mine buy a home. So tonight's event is actually the finale for the year, and it's all about building a home for a special needs family. So most of the time, people say to me the most important thing that they're looking for in a new home is somewhere that has the right school or schools for their kids with special needs. So that's generally the first thing that we start looking at. So what I always tell people is to start researching the areas around town that they would be interested in living and start talking to um, teachers at the schools, call the counties, and the special needs departments within those counties, and have your IEPs for your kids ready to go. If they don't have one yet, then you got to get with the schools and they can do one for you and figure out what is the best place for your kids to go. Um, Make sure that any questions that you have for the schools, that you have a list of your questions written down, or send them emails, and that way they can respond and you can get all the information that you're looking for. Um, look into the therapy companies that are in the area too. If your kids need, speech therapy or occupational therapy, physical therapy, ABA therapy, look into what therapy companies are around and what availability each company has, because a lot of them will have a wait list, and sometimes it could be a long time before they have availability. And depending on how old your kid is, if they are not school age yet, generally they'll have more availability than if the kids are in school all day. I also always suggest to contact DDSN, which is the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs. There's all sorts of programs, waivers that they have that are available, any kind of benefits like that that could help your kid. And there's respite care and there's wait lists for that, but they can certainly help too, and it's free. So hi and welcome. I'm Debbie DeLeon. I am a realtor here in Charleston, South Carolina, and I have been doing this virtual event series just this last year, and it's actually the last one of the year. And I'm going to be discussing building a home for a special needs family. So welcome. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hello, my name is Zanaya Black, and I have two special needs children. I live in Florence, South Carolina currently. I'm actually looking to relocate to Rock Hill, South Carolina, and to build a home. So that's why I joined you tonight.
Okay, well, great. So tell me a little bit about your kiddos.
Okay, I have a son. He's 8. He's nonverbal,
Okay.
autistic. So I have him, and then I have a daughter that is 6, and she's speech delayed, and she has ADHD.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're they're full of life.
I bet. Yeah, so I also have a son with autism, and he's 14, about to be 15 here like next month. But he didn't talk until he was about 8.5. So he had some pretty delayed speech as well, but now he talks up a storm.
So
But Well, when are you gonna be moving to Rock Hill?
I'm actually, well, you know what, honestly, I only went there once so far. I'm just looking really for a better school district,
Okay.
honestly. So I thought that would probably be a better area. I heard good things about Rock Hill. I heard good things about Charleston area, Spartanburg. So I'm just trying to stay in South Carolina, but just move to a different area.
Gotcha.
My plans is to start looking. I'm fixing my credit up currently right now. So my plans is to start looking to move once my credit gets a little bit better. So I'm hoping by July of next year.
Okay. Okay. So I have been in real estate about 7.5 years. And when I first started in real estate, I worked for two different builders. So very familiar with the building process. But there's a lot of things that most people wouldn't think of when they're either buying a home or building a home. With a special needs child, a lot of realtors don't have a whole lot of experience with it. And, there's a lot of people that don't have experience building in general. They've either, only bought a home that was an existing home, or they've never owned a home at all. But with the crazy housing market, builders are, going crazy because they can't keep up with the demand. But there's different things that I always like to make sure that my special needs families think about before buying or building a home. So generally, people tell me the most important thing in general for any kid is the schools. But for a special needs kid, it's different because your kiddo might not necessarily go to the school that's closest to them, because they may not have the right type of programs or classrooms or whatever. And you may have to do some more research. For instance, I'm in Dorchester County, and there's actually an elementary school inside the neighborhood that I live in, and they only had a special needs program up through kindergarten. So after kindergarten, they didn't have anything. So my son had to go to a different school, and then they had a special needs class, but it wasn't just for kids with autism. So he was there for just 1 year for first grade, and about halfway through, we found out that there was another school that was closer, actually, that had an autism class, and that was where he ended up finishing the rest of his elementary school. So sometimes you got to do some research, but what I always suggest to people is research the county and the schools, research the therapy companies that are close by, especially if some therapy companies will provide in-home therapy. Some will only do it in the clinic, and sometimes it depends on their age. But you want to make sure if you're taking your kids to clinics that you're not driving, hours, every day all over the place. One thing that I always suggest is contact the school district and the special needs department within the school district or within the county, and then see whoever you can talk to there. Send them your kids' IEPs. Do they both have them?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They both have them.
So send the IEPs out. They can kind of take a look at them and say, all right, we recommend that they go to this school, or that they go in this program, or whatever fits their needs the best. Make sure you have a list of questions up. A lot of people will say, all right, this is what my kiddo currently gets. We need to have all of these things covered, plus maybe they need more of, OT or something. And you want to add that, maybe the amount of time they're getting is not enough and they need more or something like that. Another thing that I always suggest is contact DDSN. Do you know what that is?
No, I
Okay.
don't.
It's the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs. So it's throughout the state. I don't know where each local office is, but I'm sure I can find that for you easily. But they do all sorts of waivers. They have different benefits. You know, some of them are you know, for older kids, some are for, you know, adults, some of it's for little kids, like they have respite care. You know, they have you know, kind of classes and stuff for, you know, kids that are older in high school that are looking to get into the job market, that kind of thing. But there's all sorts of help out there that whenever you're especially relocating to a different area, find out what's around that can help you and benefit you.
Okay.
So usually the first step I would tell anybody is to speak to a lender, find out what your budget is. And you said that you were working on getting your credit in order and everything.
Right.
So
Yes, ma'am.
when, like I assume that most people probably have their banking app on their phone and you can probably see whatever your credit score is, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. So whenever your credit score is up where, you know, you want it to be, then start talking to a lender. You know, they'll ask you, you know, for some, you know, some questions, you know, like what's your income, you know, how much debt do you have? You know, they'll run your credit because they want to see your credit score from all three credit reporting bureaus. And then they'll be able to give you an idea of what your budget is and what your monthly payment will be approximately, like what taxes and insurance and that kind of stuff is. So you'll know how much your you know, a range of what your payment will be. You know, they can give you an estimate on closing costs, you know, earnest money, and then, you know, earnest money, you know, I usually tell people like anywhere from 500 to 5,000 is what you'd want to have for earnest money, and then, you know, what your down payment would be as well. So, you know, save your money, you know, get your credit score together and that kind of thing. And then talk to a lender whenever you're, you know, ready to start looking at homes, and they'll get you squared away on the money side. So the next thing that I always talk to people about is what their needs are in a home. You know, and everybody's got some of this, you know, it's just basic, you know, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage, you know, like any of that kind of simple stuff. Beyond that, like what are your must-haves in a home? And that could be different
Right.
for everyone. You know, like what are some must-haves for you?
For me, I would definitely want like I know it's not many houses with basements in South Carolina, but definitely like a basement or extra like maybe a loft for my child.
Surprised up
Um
in Rock Hill. You know, it's higher
okay.
elevation. Down in Charleston, not so much, but
Okay.
yeah, Rock Hill, you may be able to get a basement. Not too difficult.
Okay. That's like definitely because I'm thinking about long term for when my son gets older.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about, like so he can have, when he's a teenager, have, his own space.
Right.
Pretty much. Definitely a fenced in yard, not by a pond. That's like definitely major for me, those two. And I definitely want like an extra room for sensory. So that's
Okay.
something that, or maybe like even if like the home is built with a garage, maybe I can turn the garage into a sensory area opposed to using it for a garage.
Okay.
But definitely I'm 3 bedrooms, maybe 4.
Okay.
That's what I'm pretty much looking for. 2 bathrooms possibly. I'm originally from New Jersey, so like I'm stuck with that basement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. I'm from the DC area, so I'm with you in the
Okay.
basements.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of
That's
people would say things like that, you know. I get a lot of people that are like, oh, I want an open kitchen, or, you know, I have to have, you know, in Charleston, I get a lot of I want a screen porch. you know, that kind of thing. You know, fireplace, like that was a must have for me, 2-car garage, you know, things like that. But you actually kind of said something about this already, but like, what's your deal breakers? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I need this and I need this and I need this, but they forget like,
Right.
what's the deal breaker?
Right. So like that's why I said like the pond is like, I can't be near like a lot of water, pond. I don't want to be too close to like a wooded area.
Okay.
That's definitely probably be those would probably be like and like highways. Because I'm
Okay.
seeing a lot of like new constructions like by highways, and I'm like, oh no, that cannot be,
Right. Right.
So those are mainly like my deal breakers. And I don't want to be like, this is like I'm having a problem because I'm like, I want new construction. Maybe I need to look a little elsewhere because I want to be near the city, but not too close to the city,
Gotcha.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So like that's like deal breakers for me. Like that's the main things.
Okay. I get somebody else that's in the waiting room, so I'm gonna admit them now and we can keep.
Okay.
I'm gonna give them a minute to join in. All right, why don't you and I keep talking while we're waiting for them to log in? So,
Okay.
um, the next question I always ask people is, you know, what does your child need or your kids need in the home?
Right.
You know, you know, like you said, one thing already, a sensory room. Um,
Right.
you know, does your kiddo need like a therapy room
And that's
or
what I
therapy
yeah,
space? Maybe not
right.
necessarily a whole room, but maybe just a space. Same thing for sensory. You know, maybe they need just I don't know, like a little swing or something in the corner of their room, or um, you know, a place for like a beanbag chair for them to curl up in or something like that.
Right.
Um, the other thing is something else that you said already too. So I can tell you've thought about this a lot already.
Right.
Is like what things are dangerous for your kid? You know, you said the pond, you know, I would assume same thing with the woods, and then, you know, highway too. You know, my husband and I built our house about 10 years ago, and we had the same thing. So very concerned about you know, being close to water, pond, you know, didn't want a house that had a pool. Another thing that was scary for us was gas cooking.
Oh yeah.
You know, because all gas stoves have the knobs right on the front. And, you know, at the time my son was 4, and, you know, he had just learned how to flip on a light switch. So it was like a light show in my house all the time.
Right.
I was like, I didn't want him to do that with a gas stove. You know, same thing, like we got a gas fireplace. We had him put the switch up higher so that he couldn't, you know, turn that on and off a million times a day. But you know, fenced in yard too.
Right.
So, okay. So the next thing that I always recommend that people do is talk to builders. Look at reviews that people have left from working with builders. Some builders will do accommodations for small requests that are not like ADA compliant requests, but things that are important to you, like, you know, the light switch or the fireplace switch.
Right.
You know, some builders will do that, some won't. Um, you know, all builders are required to build a home with any kind of ADA requirements that you have. They'll charge you more for it, but they are required to do it. But you just have to tell them that, you know, this is what you need. Um, um, the next thing I would recommend is any builder that you know, like whatever your top 2 are, walk through the communities. And not just when the builder's agent is there. You know, kind of even if it's like on a Sunday evening or something like that, when they've already left for the day, go walk through the community, see what people are like, you know, have your realtor take you to look through some of the other floor plans that are under construction, and just look at the quality of the construction too. And you know, you may not know the quality of the construction, but your realtor will, and they will be able to point out things to you, you know, this is good, and you know, they should know some things, or you know, what code is for certain things and that kind of thing. um you know, look at multiple builders and multiple floor plans, um because you know, if this is, you know, your biggest investment, and you know, you want to um try and get as much of your wants met and all of your needs. Okay, somebody else is trying to come in too, so I'm going to admit them and give them a minute to
I think that's
join it.
some. I just invited one of my friends. She's actually saving for a home now.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, that may be her.
Okay. All right, so we'll keep talking until they connect
Okay.
with the audio. But you always want to check out the quality of construction, because that's huge, because you're going to live in this house for, you know, a long time, and you don't want to have to worry about, you know, things breaking that shouldn't be breaking.
Right.
You know, you want to know what's included with the home, and what's an upgrade. So every builder will have like an included feature sheet, and they'll show you, you know, you get XYZ with each builder. And some builders will do, they'll build just to code. Some will go above and beyond that, and you know, do more green features or more, you know, I mean, like if it, you know, if the code requires a certain amount of outlets in a room, and they add more, you know, that kind of thing. It just depends on each builder and what they do. But some will do the bare minimum, some will go above and beyond. So with the way that the real estate market is right now, you're not going to see this a whole lot, but there are builder incentives. You know, this was going on up until COVID started. But generally, when it's more of a buyer's market, builders going to give out incentives for you to build with them. The way that the market is now, they're not doing that. But a lot of times they'll offer some or all of your closing costs paid by the builder if you use their lender and their closing attorney. So it's not a bad deal if you don't have the cash to do it. Sometimes they'll, you know, in doing that, they will make your interest rate slightly higher, but if you don't have the cash, and they're giving you, you know, all of your closing costs paid, you know, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 or more, not a bad way to, you know, save some money and keep it in your pocket. But if they do have incentives, you know, sometimes it'll be things like, you know, they'll give you money off on design options. Like I think when we built our house, I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was like we got $10,000 in free design options or something like that. So that gave me, I'm trying to remember everything because this was so long ago. I think it gave me all the hardwood floors downstairs, upgraded cabinets, and upgraded countertops. So that was worth it. Sometimes they'll give you like a refrigerator, washer and dryer, or blinds, or a security system, or some kind of combination of those things. And they're always changing. You know, maybe if it's a community that has like golf in it, they'll pay for your golf membership for the first year or something like that. Like it could be anything. but there are some benefits of building versus a pre-owned home and vice versa. So, benefits of building, if there's any kind of changes that you would need to do to a home to make it, ADA compliant or something like that, that's so much easier to do while the house is either under construction, or you're starting from scratch and picking your floor plan and your home site and all of your options and all that stuff. It's so much easier to do it from the get-go than it is, if you bought an existing home and now have to make that home ADA compliant. And you then also have to live in a construction zone if you end up having to do that. It's also less expensive to do it from the get-go when you build than it is to do after the fact. Also when you build, you get to personalize your home a lot more. So you get to choose, all of your colors for everything, what color cabinets you want, what color floors you want, what style of things you like, backsplash, tile, the whole nine. To some people that's a lot of fun, to some people that's a little overwhelming. So it depends on kind of where you are, if that's a pro or a con there. One other benefit of building is the warranties that you get. So most builders will do, I think all of the builders that I know of do what's called a 210 warranty. That's the name of the company. So it pretty much covers almost everything up through the first year. Through 2 years, it covers all of your systems, your house, your electrical, your plumbing, that kind of thing. And then up to 10 years, it covers your structurals, your foundation, things like that. So on an existing home, the seller may provide a 1-year warranty, but that's it. And then if you want to keep up with that warranty, you have to pay for it. And, they're anywhere from, I don't know, $600 to $800 a year. Also with a new home, you get a warranty on your appliances for a year usually as well. You also know that your home when you build is to code, so it's generally more energy efficient, and you don't have any major costly repairs for a long time. You're not going to have to replace the roof or replace your HVAC or anything that's more expensive like that. So then there's some benefits of buying a pre-owned home too. You don't have to wait months to move in. So generally when you're buying a pre-owned home, it's anywhere from 30 to 45 days from the time that you find the home that you want and put an offer on it and it gets accepted. It's anywhere from 30 to 45 days from when it gets accepted until you close. So building, it could be anywhere from, 4 months sometimes to, a year. It just depends on the way that the market is. Builder contracts, whenever you're building a home, it always pretty much will favor the builder, not the buyer. They generally protect themselves pretty well. New homes are also generally more expensive because everything is brand new. Unless you're building a custom home where you're starting from scratch with an architect and an engineer and customizing everything. If you're building, then you're there's going to be other homes in the neighborhood that are the exact same floor plan as yours. And if you're not somebody that likes that cookie cutter kind of style, then an older home may be better for you because they're not all exactly the same. then negotiating is very common when the seller is a person and not a builder. Builders don't negotiate anything. It's kind of, this is the price and that's it. Unless it's, more of a buyer's market and then they're doing incentives and that kind of thing. One thing that I have noticed, especially since COVID, is a lot of buyers will write a letter to the seller when they submit their offer about why they love the home so much. And builders, nobody really does that because the builder doesn't care. It's all about the numbers with them. But writing a letter to the seller about why you love the home and you want to raise your kids there, and this is, going to be somewhere that you love for a long time and that type of thing, that generally will mean a lot to people. And, they want to see, another happy family enjoy the home and that kind of thing. And sometimes it's not always about the amount that you're offering. It's, it's the memories that you're going to have there. So I've seen that happen before. It actually happened to a client of mine this year, and he ended up accepting that offer because of that. So one other benefit for having an existing home or buying an existing home is they generally have larger yards. Most builders are not building anything generally more than a fifth of an acre is pretty unheard of, at least around here. They'll usually be like a fifth of an acre or less. So, if you don't mind that, then, that's not a big deal, but some people would rather have a larger yard. But generally the last thing that I tell people is get a realtor. Always, 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 always have a realtor. When you're a buyer, you're not paying that realtor. The seller pays the realtor. So it never hurts to have someone that's on your side, that's working for you and putting your needs first. If you're going into a model home and you're talking to the sales agent there, they're not looking out for you. They're looking out for the builder. That's who they're there for. So you want somebody that's there for you. You want them to explain everything that's on your contract, what your responsibilities are, what the builder's responsibilities are. That you want them to explain the process to you. And you got to know what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it, because there are dates that you have to do certain things by certain times. So, they'll explain to you exactly when you're supposed to, apply for your loan, and you have to give final loan approval by a certain date and that kind of thing too. So, always make sure that you have somebody that's looking after your best interest. Do you have any questions for me?
I do have one question. I know you kind of spoke about it before, not even just now.
Okay.
The savings account, because I know like kind of like when you get SSI, you're not supposed to save, a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
What type of savings account is there in South Carolina that I can do? I know every state varies.
So do both of your kiddos get Social Security?
No, only my son currently.
Okay. That's actually a really good question. What I'm going to do is I will email you some information, or I'm going to email you a contact information for a friend of mine that's an attorney, that he deals with Social Security disability a lot. And I'm going to let him answer that for you, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. He also ask him about special needs trust.
Okay.
because that's something that you can set up for your kids that would help them later on when they're adults. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was like really worried about because I just inherit property. So I'm
Oh,
actually going to be selling that. That's in Lee County, South Carolina.
okay.
So I'm going to be selling those. That was going to be like my money to put, but I know
Okay.
somebody was telling me like by law I'm not supposed to have like a certain amount. With that, with the inheritance is different. But with me saving my own money, I didn't want, too
Right.
many issues. So I
Right.
did need to speak to somebody in regards to that
Okay.
before,
So is it just land, or is
No,
it
it's two homes, but they're sitting on a few acres of land.
okay?
Yeah, one of them is. That's my son. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, yeah. So one of them sitting on a few like that. The other one is like worth more with the land than
Okay.
it is the home. And then I'm waiting for them to be appraised. They haven't been appraised in a few years.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for that to happen. But I just finished probate court for that.
Okay.
So I didn't know, how I spoke to Social Security, but she didn't really, help me about the savings part. Because I don't want my money that I'm saving now to affect, anything when it comes
Okay.
time. Because like I said, generally I know probably like July of next year, that's when I'm going to take my steps to start really, well, I'm gonna start looking at homes, but to start really doing the process of everything.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you contact information. His name is Michael Scobo. He's an attorney here in Charleston.
Okay.
But he deals with Social Security disability a lot. So he can give you all sorts of information. He'll help you for sure.
Perfect.
He's very nice.
Okay.
I'll send you an email with that.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
All
Do you,
right.
do you have any other questions for me?
No, I think we talked about, what I needed to hear about the difference of, dealing with a builder opposed to, that
Yeah.
was like something I was confused about because I know a lot of people are trying to go to builders now too, but I have been researching. I'm like, they're not giving incentives
No, they're
anymore.
not.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's just the way that the market is right now. So, I mean, honestly, I thought by, the end of this year that the market would have come back more than it has, and it wouldn't be so much of a seller's market. It's come back some, but it's slower. Like there were more houses on the market a couple months ago than what there is now.
Right.
So like in the beginning of last year, like there was more than there was 2 or 3 months ago. And then it slowly got less and less and less. And then towards the end of the summer, more people started to list, and then it went back down again. So, I thought that there would be more than what there was, this time last year, but there's
Right.
not. So, I mean, you may get incentives, you may not, but generally most builders will always do if you use their lender and their closing attorney, they'll usually pay some or all of your closing costs. It depends on the builder. But it doesn't hurt to get another quote from another lender, because if the builder's lender is going to give you a 5% interest rate, and you can go to somebody else and get 3%, that's a huge amount of money every single month, that maybe it's worth it to come out of pocket for your closing costs, because you're going to save more than that off the life of your loan. I mean, if it's a 2-point difference, I mean, that could be $400 or $500 a month easily,
Right.
and if that means you got to pay $5,000 in closing costs to save, $400 a month for the next 30 years, that's worth it,
Right.
but, definitely shop around a little bit for lenders. If you ever want some names for some lenders, or I can refer you to a realtor or a couple of realtors up there whenever you're ready. I'm
Okay.
happy to do that too.
Okay.
just let me know.
Okay, I sure
Okay.
will. I'm going to email you after this, so this
Okay.
way you have my email.
Absolutely.
And thank you for telling me about the IEP taking it to the district, because I didn't even think
Oh yeah.
to do that. And that's
Oh
very,
yeah. Like I've
yeah.
actually talked to all of the special education departments in Charleston, Dorchester, and Berkeley County around here for a couple of different clients, trying to find like where's the best spot for their kid to go, which school, which county was better, that kind of thing. Because every kid's different,
Right.
you know.
And then when me having two is like, I always get that. That's why I didn't know where to move, because I'm like, I have two that has so many different needs.
Yep.
So I was like getting
Yep.
pulled.
The other thing too is transportation. Do you take your kids to school every day?
No, right now they do get transportation currently.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because if they have an IEP, then the school is required to provide transportation for them. It doesn't matter if they don't live, in that school zone or not.
Oh,
They're
wow.
still, yeah. Like my son now doesn't go to the middle school that's, that our house is zoned for.
Mhm.
He goes to one that's like 20 minutes away. They still provide transportation.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's good
So
to
you just
know.
got to know, little things like that. So,
Right.
and they should tell you those things too, but
Right.
they don't always.
They don't.
Yeah. But, if you ever have questions or, want to chat anytime, please feel free. You're always welcome to email me or call me, text me, whatever your, preferred method is. I'm always happy to help.
Appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Good luck with your kiddos.
Right.
And
Thank
good luck with
you.
your move. And if I can do anything to help, just let me know, okay?
Okay, I definitely appreciate it. I'm going to email you.
All right, sounds
All
good.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Okay.
You're talking to mommy.